Welcome back, Sebastian here. So, time for my review for the 2024 Tokyo ePrix. Honestly, a pretty good race. I think overtaking was definitely better than I was expecting, and it turns out that yeah, you can actually overtake around this track. So it started with Roland on pole, Gunther second. Championship leader Nick Cassidy was starting in 19th after having his fastest lap in qualifying deleted for a technical issue. Motara, who had an amazing qualifying in the Mahindra, starting P3, got himself up to P2 off the line. Dennis then also tried to overtake Gunther. Yeah, tried to overtake Gunther around the outside of turn 16, but wasn't able to make the move stick. Lap 4, this is where Sergio Senikamera, another driver who had a really strong qualifying, started to fall down the field a little bit. First overtaken by Verline for P5 at turn 10, then by Frines for P6, and the following lap by DaCosta for P7. That same lap, lap 5, we have contact between Muller and Nato, but both drivers would continue. Lap 6, Hughes was in the wall at turn 15 after some slight contact with Lucas Di Grassi. Hard to really put blame on that one. I would say a bit more blame for Di Grassi. Maybe should have left a bit more space around the outside there. Lap 9, Verline was the first of the leaders to take attack mode, but because DaCosta was behind him, really smart team play between the pair of them, allowing Verline to not lose a position. Lap 10, Roland at this point was starting to build a gap to Gunther behind, looking like he had pretty strong pace in the Nissan, of course at their home ePrix. Lap 11, Motara takes attack mode and falls to third place behind Gunther. Verline tries to overtake Dennis around the outside turn 16, but not able to make it stick. A really difficult place to make a move. A place that looks pretty enticing, but I think just really difficult as it is a fairly high speed corner, and I think it's also very bumpy down there. Let's see, where are we? So lap 12, Bird, having a torrid race, torrid weekend overall, was in the pits to change his steering wheel. Looked like, I don't know if he had contact at some point earlier. There wasn't really any footage of it, but he was in the pits changing his steering wheel. Lap 13, Roland takes a second attack mode, allowing Gunther to take the lead. Van Dorn loses control at turn 1. I believe it was Van Dorn. It was one of the DS Penske's, but loses control at turn 1 and makes contact with Daruvula, who then loses his front wing, or loses most of his front wing there. Lap 14, Gunther overtakes Mortara for P2 at turn 16. Good move there by Gunther. Lap 19, Nato overtakes Senikamera, and then as Senikamera takes attack mode. DaCosta then also overtakes Dennis for P4 at turn 14, so a good move there by the Porsche. Lap 18, Mitch Evans, one of the championship favorites, loses control at turn 5, makes contact with Frines, and breaks his front wing and ends up with part of his front wing dislodged and stuck in his tire, basically rubbing against the tire, tons of tire smoke. He has to pay right away for repairs. And right after that, we have this crazy battle between Dennis and Verline, and the battling and both of them kind of going offline at various corners allows Nato to basically come up to move up to P5 temporarily, but drops behind his teammate eventually. Di Grassi and De Vries were both in the pits at this point. It seems like they made contact. We didn't have a replay, so it's really hard to say what exactly happened, but we saw the camera shot of the front of De Vries' car, and it looks like, and the whole thing was missing, so it looked like he perhaps made contact with Di Grassi there. A bit of a shame for the pair of them, as I do think points were on the board for both of them. Lap 20, we got a safety car to deal with the damage from those various incidents. Roland was a bit low on energy at this point. Dennis had 2%, 3% more at this point in the ePrix. Lap 22, the safety car ends, and Dennis takes attack mode right away with his teammate behind, using the same smart team play that Verline and DaCosta did earlier, making sure that he didn't lose a position. Lap 25, Gunther overtakes Roland for the lead of the race at turn 10. It was quite a strange one. The speed differential was massive between the pair of them, so I don't know if Roland had some kind of issue or if he was just being forced to lift and coast a lot more than Gunther at that point. But nonetheless, Gunther takes the lead of the ePrix. Lap 30, let's see. Mortara, yes, Mortara takes attack mode and drops down to 5th. So a really strong race at this point, but drops to 5th. And at this point, they also announced that there would be 2 added laps at the end of the race because of those laps under the safety car. Lap 31, Seti Kamara falls to 10th place, just battling really hard with other drivers. Lap 32, Fines makes contact with Nato and loses his front wing at turn 5. So Nato basically pushed him very, very wide, basically almost into the wall on the exit of that corner. The contact cost Fines his front wing, and he also lost a couple positions at that point. I think was fell down to P8 or P10. Nato was given a 5-second penalty for that move, and it would prove to be quite costly. Lap 33, Costa tries to overtake Roland around the outside of turn 15, I believe, and gets pushed, turn 14, and gets pushed wide, allowing Dennis to overtake him and get that final spot on the podium. Final lap, Gunther takes a checkered flag. Driver's very, very low in energy at this point, 0.1%, 0.2%, but he was able to get across the line, not use too much power. Unfortunately, one driver who used too much power was Eduardo Mortara, who was later disqualified a couple minutes after the race for using too much energy. So very unfortunate for him. He would have finished P6, I believe. So that would have been a massive haul of points for Mahindra, and unfortunately they get no points. So yeah, bitter disappointment for Mortara there. And Gunther's win means that we have 5 winners from 5 races. Very exciting start to the season. And as we look at the championship standings, very, very tight, very mixed up as well at the top. But anyway, going over the results of the race, Gunther gets his first win of the year, really good result for the German driver. Second, Roland, who's on an absolute roll, 3 podiums in a row. Third was Dennis, another good result from him. Fourth, DaCosta. Fifth, Fairline. Sixth, Muller. Seventh, Cassidy. 8th, Fines. 9th, Seti Kamara. 10th, Fenestraz. 11th, Fern. 12th, Wemy. 13th, Hughes. 14th, Evan. 15th, Nato. 16th, Van Dorn. 17th, Derula. 18th, Ticktum. 19th, Bird. Your 2 retirements were Degrassi and De Vries. And of course, Mortara was disqualified. Your championship standings, there's a tie at the top. Cassidy and Fairline tied on 63 points, of course. The 2 title protagonists from last year, but Cassidy, I believe, is going to be ahead on countback. Roland third, 54 points. Didn't expect that at the beginning of the year. 14th, Dennis 53. 5th, Gunther 48. 6th, Evan 39. 7th, Jev 39 points as well. 8th, Bird 37. 9th, Fines 23. 10th, Wemy 20. Also on 20 is DaCosta, who had a pretty good race today. 12th, Hughes 18. 13th, Van Dorn also on 18. 14th is Fenestraz on 9, 15th Nato on 9, 16th Muller on 8, 17th Seti Kamara on 4, and then Mortara, Degrassi, De Vries, Derula, and Ticktum all yet to score. So pretty good ePrix. I think racing definitely better than expected. Very tricky track. Dario Franchitti said during practice, a very classic old school Formula E track. Lots of surface changes, very different technical, not a ton of long straights, but yeah. Produced pretty good racing. I thought a bit chaotic at times, but I think it's a nice change of pace from either absolutely no racing like we saw at Delia in Mexico and the crazy Peloton racing we saw in Sao Paulo. So anyway, pretty good ePrix. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.